full hat, all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Hey everyone, this is Dave. I'm Dave. And I don't know where Mickey is. Oh, he's rebooting his machine apparently. Yeah, you get that. Well, we'll see him soon. Oh, okay, so this is Shiny Slide Out on WZZR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio, which is the website name. Where it's home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations. And you'll find those in the chat room. That's where I am right now. And it's also a great place to get your merch. Do get a t-shirt, a mug, a hoodie. Think about the things you can get. You can find them there in the merch store. And they're really cool. All designed by A Mad Painter. He's another host on the show. He's another host on the station. That's right. This is show number, can you believe it or not, 599. 599. That's almost 600. That's something else. And did you know, you might not, but you might, catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. It's quite easy. You can listen on through your phone without an app. Just go to the station's website, hit Studio A, and you can listen. But, you know, you might be somewhere else. You might want to, hey, guess what? You might want to just download the archives. The archives are free. Just jump in. But are we going to ask that if you like anything, you do subscribe to the station. Subscribe in some way or another. Help out. Do something like tell others. Because if you are in hard times right now, like everyone, then, you know, tell someone and maybe they can help. Because the station is not free. And I think we should be inviting sponsors to come and sponsor. Maybe you're allowed to, if you're a host, have your own private sponsor. But sponsors might want to, you know, donate to the station. Or actually, not donate, for advertising. Swap money for advertising time and get some advertising on the station, because the listenership's pretty good. We're all like-minded. We all have our different things that we enjoy. And there's plenty of hosts. And I'll give you an example of one tremendous host that I know of, and that is Solaris. Her show just ceased now, as we've joined and started ours up. Mackie's sending me information here via text as he waits for his machine to boot. And well, that's why I'm with PC, Mackie. So just letting you know. Here's it. Tonight, Solaris had a great show. She had a round table with Caroline Bell, Tumblety, and Madeline Rudy. And they were talking about everything. It was just open topic. And you know what? We're really hoping, Solaris, that you've got some time to join us next week, if you can, on our show. We do hope so, because it's you're a mainstay in the station, and so are we. And I think it's good for us to share. Come aboard, talk about anything. I don't really mind what we talk about, but let's do a round table or something like that. It'd be great. And that's how you can find out more about Solaris, or you can just jump in the archives and get all the shows. She has great guests, by the way. They're fantastic. Always a great interview, and a great interviewer she is across platforms. It's just remarkable. Great history, a bio as long as your arm, and good on you. Thank you so much. That's a nice picture of a pussycat. I can see Jim Jones there as posted into the chat room. Join us in the chat room so you can talk to us while we're on air. That's what you can do. I can't read Mackie's comment out, but he's not liking the platform that he uses, because it takes so darn long to fix it, which is really funny. Mine will boot in less than 20 seconds from off, where I can start using it, which is pretty cool. That's because I'm using like that 2.1 or whatever, 1. Whatever it is. It's very fast. It's like having RAM that your hard drive is instead of a hard drive. It's just so fast. 0.2.2, I don't know, 1.2, whatever it is. I forget. I built it all. I should know. I'm getting dumber by the minute. As far as my own tech is concerned, unless I'm doing it every day, It kind of just leaves you like everything that everyone does everywhere all the time. Anyway, I'm broadcasting out of Darkinjung country today, and Meki, I'm assured, because he's usually with his computer, and then because it is his computer, I know that he will be, when he joins us, Direct People is where he is broadcasting from. And both of us pay our respects to elders past, present and future. That's what we do. Look, while we wait for Meki, and I know he wants to comment on this, and it's a big topic, and I just wanted to start with AI and then get on to the Lahaina fires. And even what I see posted here about the Las Vegas floods and also the Burning Man festival, which turned out to be underwater. But now there's stories that it's in lockdown because there was Ebola found there, or possible Ebola outbreak. I mean, that's just crazy. But whether or not that's true or not, I'm sure. But anyway, saying that, what's really true anymore? I don't even know what that means. The truth is gone. It's a vague memory in the distance. It's just whatever they want to tell us is the truth these days. I'm sure if there was a definition of it in the dictionary, you'd see the whole current definition all crossed out, like it's live. It says, well, no, truth isn't all of those things. It's just the government message. That's what they want us to know. And how quickly did we turn into the countries that we despise? The ones that are locked down, the ones that don't have, so let's call it free speech, or at least the ability to express yourself. Yeah, what happened to that? That's gone. I was watching the inquiry with the RFK about it. There was a whole bunch of stuff in there, and one of them was Joe Biden's son, his laptop, and there was on one side everything for everyone from the right. They happened to be on the speaker's right. On the speaker's left was the left side of politics, and the left side of politics was so awful in this inquiry. I just didn't know what to think about the left anymore. Honest. How quickly they've sunk to new lows. Like I've never seen before. I really did not comprehend how they got to where they've got to. It was just awful to watch. And the speaker was mildly pleased with himself throughout it because he was taking it all in his stride. I think he did a pretty good job. Don't know which side he's on, don't really care. He did a very balanced job there. But when the left, the lady to the left, I shouldn't say lady, the person, I'm just going to call him person to the left of the speaker had to stop the censoring of the witness by the left, talking over the witness, just relentless. Oh, the time's up. No, I'm going to let it. I'm the chair, so I'm just going to let the witness talk. You just don't talk anymore. Let's just do that, shall we? And that was kind of where it should be. But I kind of see the left in politics in the US more and more like, I don't want to make any comparisons that makes my YouTube channel disappear. Let's say a poorly written AI who, even though you present information, it doesn't listen to any of it, still sprouts its own opinion and then says you're guilty, right? Of whatever. It's probably not even true. But that's what they appear to be doing now. It's kind of like a Woody Allen movie. Do you remember Sleeper? I think that's what the one it was. There was just an AI representative in front of him, like a computer, like a robot. And then he stated his reasons for being there, and it just denied guilty, right? Whatever. That the beat up that RFK was getting. I'm not saying I'm an RFK fan. Don't really care who it was. If it was you, the listener, sitting there, I'd still have sympathy. It doesn't matter who it was. But despite the fact that that person is probably beating their own team's leader in popularity, it just seemed that that person was there to cut them down and bring them back, from popularity to not being the favoured representative. I kind of am sure that this is, my tongue is in cheek here, but that Michelle, that's who I was meant to say. Michelle is probably going to have a late entry. I think they're going to try and replace Biden as soon as possible. And I saw there was a rebranding of Kamala Harris as well. My goodness, Mackie, how long does it take for your machine to start? It's just crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, there's my trigger word. Crazy. No. Oh. So, yeah, geez, Mackie, come on. You can do it, buddy. You can get it. Now, the inquiry was awful. Absolutely awful. And it's really about social media giants, and they're being instructed by the government to take people's posts down, silence people, deplatform them, and all of those things, which all were kind of borne out by Elon Musk at least buying Twitter to find all of this information, and how many either current or ex-CIA employees were working there, and all had their ties back, regardless of their employment status, back to the CIA, and were vetting material. And who says you're the expert? Like the person who was talking about the Biden laptop, so the Hunter laptop, who said everything they said was true, but they had all their stories deleted as misinformation, Russian collusion, all of this stuff. But now we all know whose truth it was, and it was really totally true. That the person, every single word the person said, who I think she used to work for Politico, I think, a journo, right? So all of those things are true, and yet was getting shut down. And Twitter at the time was used, apart from, very famous people posting pictures of the food they're having, right? Apart from that kind of thing, it was really a news platform for journos to distribute news to each other. Oh, did you know this was happening? This is currently happening. Right? This thing is happening. I've heard this is going on. And all their followers they just had this big group and they could chat to each other. That was a thing, right? And they were getting shut down. Because you can't talk about that, or you can't film this. That's a segue to the Lahaina thing. So, if the truth is now only because the left is in power in the US, Australia's left is not the same as America's left. If you drew a cross in a circle, a cross like vertically and horizontally, then America's left, let's say it's the left-hand side. But Australia's left isn't. It's a different angle. It's weird. It's kind of like the bottom to the top, but we call it left and right because the left in Australia is all about the people and the right is all about big business. But it's weird how it's kind of curled back on itself in the US, and the left is now so fascist it's not funny. I'm not saying they are, but they're so fascist. They have so many elements about their person, and it all became, this is how you control the media, you control the message, and you basically you're not really giving the people anything at all. In fact, you withhold as much as you can. And fascist is meant to be that you're being dictated by the big corporations, and that's kind of what our right-hand side is, our right. But here, our right is the government only panders towards the big corporations, ignores all the people entirely, and specifically ignores all the frontline workers doing any of the hard work. Ignores them because they're all peasants to our right-hand side. But in America, it's just not the same mix of components that build these political sides. It's really, really strange. So in Australia, we blocked our right-hand side completely. This way, the only likeness blocked unauthorized immigration. I'm not going to call them asylum seekers because it's legal, it's lawful to seek asylum, and the asylum proving that you are seeking asylum is actually up to the government that prevents you from entering their country. That's up to them to prove that or not. You tell them whatever you want, but then they've got to actually fact check to make sure that's correct. And I shouldn't say fact check because that's actually a negative connotation these days as to someone who is auditing information. So probably auditing is the wrong word. Curating information because that's the final product. And the left here is kind of about the people, about lives, and saying, well, the life of the person is kind of really important. So why don't we make sure they stay alive in our custody? And the right said no, because if you do that, then they've got the right to representation by lawyers within our country. If you let them within the operational, perimeter of our country, so that's out 12 miles, right, into the sea. So if you don't catch them by using our own boats, like Australia's sovereign boats, so they're not in sovereign territory when they're on the boat, and you have them towed by third party to, say, Christmas Island or whatever those other islands are where we have places for them to be in millions of dollars per year cost at the Australian taxpayers' cost. We send up kind of like these jails where they live, and the money, not very little of that money actually goes to the operation of those camps, but rather goes to the government as a favour. Hey, like we're giving you, we're just going to claim it's all for the camp, but we'll only need 10% for the camp, and the rest of that, you know what, you can just keep it. Just keep it. And they go, yeah, woohoo, look, we got all this money. So the left wants to ensure that they're alive and kept well, and the right does not want them to even be seen. They made it illegal to go there privately and film what those camps were like. And the left didn't ban it. They wanted people to go there and see where was all that money going. Hello, Mackie, hello.
Hello. Screw the upload.
I don't know if you heard any of what I was talking about.
None of it.
None.
Because I didn't have anything running at all. Nothing was running.
All right, so I described, welcome aboard. Welcome to Shiny Side Out, Mackie. So I was describing the difference between the left and right in politics between here and the US.
Okay.
And the one distinction, I think, which aligns them both, but the rest are all out of kilter and they're all measured by different things, was asylum seekers. So I know that Australia is water bound, so we ensured that asylum seekers, let's just call them people seeking life in another country, and are taken to camps in non-Australian territories so that they're not given access to Australian legal systems in order to fight to keep them here. That's the whole goal, about not letting them come onto our land. And we give millions of dollars to countries just to have a camp set up. But the right banned filming of these camps. They outlawed it. You're not allowed to film these camps and what these people are going through. And the left did not agree with the banning of that. In fact, there was whistleblowers from the left trying to break that. But in America, it's like, yeah, just open the whole border. What, who cares, right? And there's limitless amounts of people now from all nations coming from through the southern border. And the right was saying, you know what? No, I think what we need to do is just stop them coming through. What their life is before they get to us is irrelevant. So we just don't want them coming in here at all. And the subculture of people, Meki, that end up coming through the border when you've got a land bridge, it can change the makeup of your country. And this is, I think, what the whole... I just asked Germany, Meki, right? Let's ask Angela Merkel, right? So it can do things, and I know Hungary, listen to me, I'm from 3,000 years ago. They've said no, we don't want anyone in here.
Yeah.
And they've put a hard stop to and with what sounds like a very plausible reason, and I actually admire it, for them to stand up to this immigration problem that the world is suffering right now. And it is, well, we want our country to remain our country.
But you see, it's a lot more complex than that. And
that was what the news. That was what the Vox Pop did in the talk speaking with the politicians who have announced it last week.
The truth is, okay. So first of all, where does it all come from, left and right? Let's just talk about that for a second. It first started in the French Revolution, believe it or not. And funny enough, in 1789, after or during the French Revolution, there was something called the National Assembly. Okay, that was divided into the supporters of the Ancien Regime, which is the kingdom, right, to the president's right, and then supporters of the revolution, who were to the left. So the conservatives, if you will, funnily enough, were sitting on the right. Okay, and supporters of the revolution, like the progressive, if you want to call them that, were sitting on the left. And then that kind of division has remained with us to this day, more or less, as Dave has outlined now. The difference, but right is usually reactionary and conservative, and left is usually progressive, also associated with socialism, etc. However, when it comes to migration, Dave, and this is really where it gets very tricky. Right? A lot of the countries that are experiencing an influx of migrants today, and I'm going to pick on France and Great Britain and Germany to some extent, Italy, Spain as well. The people that are trying to get in there are people of the former colonies or existing colonies, as it were. So Europe went out into the world, raped the world, took all the resources, killed the people that were there, destroyed the cultures, took all the wealth to Europe, thank you very much, founded those, royal lineages that we have today, and said, beautiful, look, this is the new world, this is the world order, this is what it is. Now it's coming to bite them, quite heftily, in fact. And I'll talk about America in a second. But in my mind, they have every right to ask for asylum, especially if they're part of a former colony. Now, in America, it's a little bit different. It's really interesting. Nobody ever comes to America illegally across the border from Canada. that doesn't happen. Okay? Now, other way, Americans try to go into Canada. Eh? From Winnipeg, eh? But the other way does. And what we have here is a north-south divide of politics. People talk about East and West, right? East and West was usually considered, the communist East and the capitalist West. That's not really true anymore, but there's still an East-West divide. China now against Russia. China and Russia kind of against the West. America, Western Europe, etc. So it's really wishy-washy, and depending on where you sit in the world, this whole East-West thing doesn't really hold true, unless you look at the world from the perspective of the Atlantic. If you look at it from the perspective of the Pacific, it all falls apart. Right? So it's a very specific worldview. However, there's a north-south divide, and that's a very real thing. The north-south divide denotes the more advanced countries. When I say advanced, I mean industrially developed. Right? And these are really the countries that went out to colonize the rest of the world. Now, America just happens to be in the North America, in the northern hemisphere, was colonized by the French, the British, the Spanish, and the Germans. A whole bunch of folk went into North America with a very strong, in the end, English footprint, obviously. The Spanish footprint was much stronger in South America. Right? Now, interestingly enough, the Spanish they weren't really interested in building up nations. They just wanted to exploit what was there, which led, of course, to the countries we have today and their relative poor state of affairs, because there was never really any money invested from overseas into these countries. Whereas North America was a quite different proposition, interestingly enough. All right, that country was sort of seen, and I don't know why that is, but that country was sort of seen as this is all this unused country. Let's go and build it, and pioneers, etc. I think maybe because there were some very high cultures in South America that could be plundered, especially from a gold perspective, gold and jade and other things, right? So yes, we can actually go in there. Whereas in North America, while there were obviously First Nations people there, they didn't have as rich, and I mean money-wise, as rich a culture as the South American nations. They had a lot of gold. There was a lot, oh my God, there was so much gold in South America, it's not even funny, right? And so that was exploited and pillaged and raped and whatnot. Whereas North America was really more seen like Australia, I guess. Terra nullius, we just go in there and we colonize. Thank you very much. We take it all, and we make it our own, and we're going to build it up. That was the difference between North America and South America, I think. Anyway, so what we have today is a North-South divide, and most of the migration of poor people is from South to North. There's virtually no migration from North to South. Nobody from Europe, North America, even Northern Asia is trying to get into the southern half of the planet. Right? And that's where it gets really interesting. So Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and Australia is sort of not part of the whole equation because that's sort of a special case. But Africa was raped by the Europeans. South America was raped by the Europeans. Southeast Asia was raped by the Europeans. Okay? All below the equator for the most. Sorry. Not all of them. Below the equator. Get your mind out of the gutter. And but certainly south of the white folk, if you will, right? And that is where migration and refugees and all that becomes very complex, because we in the West, in the developed nations, created the problem. We did. By being bloodthirsty and cannibals of societies, and really just killing everybody in our way that stood between us and the gold, Dave. So it is. I hear what he's saying, though. People trying to keep their national identity. And look, really, what national identity? Show me one nation on the planet.
That's right.
That has a pure. Let's call it pure. Let's be racist and call it pure. Yeah? A pure national identity. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's.
So, one of my points along the way was it's not illegal to seek asylum, but our government decided that we're going to taint that word, and asylum seekers just turned into boat people, because that's how you get here, and that was to disrupt the legality around it. It's okay to seek asylum. As long as you're you're either going to be persecuted or you come from a war-torn country, it's actually legal. But then our Australian right says, well, if you travelled through 5 countries with your eye on Australia the whole time, why didn't you stop at any of those? Because, maybe they're just not as good as the one you're trying to get to. And then it's like, well, beggars can't be choosers. Good luck with that. My whole point of this asylum seeker business should be that the UN splits all the asylum seekers against their will to all the countries per capita based percentage gaps or percentage. So, this many go here, this many go here, but based on how many people they've currently got. That should be a really good way of being able to fill those places, because they better have a solution pretty quick, because it's not getting any better anytime soon. And once we start to see climate refugees, right, there better be a really darn good solution for this, because it's going to get awful.
I'm gonna put myself out here now.
Oh, go on. Here we
There's
go.
no resolution. It will not get better.
It won't.
It will just happen. It's like I had a discussion about this on the weekend. Or something. I can't remember. Whatever. The point is, here we are where we are today, and still we refuse to acknowledge where we are. And I'll give you some simple examples. We are now seeing real impact of weather. I mean, it's a real thing now, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we've always had bad weather. Yes, correct. But we never had entire hemispheres on fire. We never had once in 100-year storms every year.
Or every
We never
month.
had, sorry,
Or every month.
or every month, indeed. But that's new. It's a new thing, right? And still, we think carbon trading is a good idea. So it's not like the problem is coming. The problem is here. Our house is on fire. But instead of instead of getting some buckets of water,
Mm-hmm.
you know what we do? Because our house is on fire, we are selling fire insurance to the houses next to us.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, look, your house is not burning, right? So therefore, I'm going to buy the non-burning part of your house, right? So I can burn more of my house,
That's right.
right? Because that's okay. Because that's what we should do. It's. I mean,
You can't see the
I
beauty
think
in that, Mickey?
it is phenomenal. I explained it to my daughters.
Yeah.
Carbon trading, and
Mhm.
they're 10 and 9 or 10 and 8, almost 10. And I said, look, this is actually how it works. And they go, but that doesn't make any sense, Papa. I said, no, it does make perfect sense if you want to make money. So we've got a country like Uganda, I'm picking on Uganda,
Good old Uganda.
that doesn't pollute enough. Clearly, you're not polluting enough. And that's again with the north-south thing again, right?
Uh-huh.
Not polluting enough, and so some smart people, and they are smart. They look at it and go, that country's not really per capita. The per capita pollution is woefully low. It's woefully low.
Wow, that's we got to do something about that.
Got to do something about. There you go, Dave. Now you're with it. What can we do? Well, America, they're polluting a lot. China a lot. Those guys. Western Europe, they're pretty bad. You know what? Those guys aren't polluting enough. So therefore, America should be able to buy their non-polluting quota
Yes.
and keep polluting until the others have caught up to their polluting levels. And my daughter said, wouldn't it be better if we just all not polluted like Uganda? I mean, I'm picking on Uganda, right? And I go, yeah, it really would.
Well, but that's funny, you see, because while we're reducing our carbon output independently, not per person, don't choke. While we're doing it independently of other nations, we are, how do I put it? Oh yeah, that's right, offshoring our pollution to the country that we blame the most for,
Bingo.
and that's okay.
It's awesome. No,
Because
it's not okay.
look, we look golden. That's the same as the 100% EV people, 100% EV cars, not realizing that they're actually outsourcing their carbon.
It's cool.
It's the same thing.
I wish I had thought of it. I mean, see, you look at all these things like Ponzi schemes, and pyramid schemes, and
Rookies.
and rookies, and like Bernie Madoff and all those guys, and you got to say, I wish religion is my favorite.
Yes.
I wish I had thought of it. I wish, honestly, I mean, look, all jokes aside, all sarcasm aside, I wish I had thought of all of that stuff, because I would now be sitting pretty. I'd be up there with the Rothschilds toasting to the great coming. That's what I would be doing. The great coming. All right, because that's what it is. You have to be a special kind of human being to actually think that up. It's like Enron. Well, we're not doing too well. Oh, okay. Let's sell our future profits. Well, what do you mean? Well, all the money we're going to make in 2 years' time.
Yeah, let's sell that.
Clearly, we will, because we're Dave.
Look
we're
at
awesome.
us.
We're awesome. Come on. Good looking. We smell good. Nothing can stop us. Yeah, that's okay. So hang on. But we haven't made that. Doesn't matter if we will make that money. You see, we will. Oh,
Because that's how good we are.
that's how good we are, and that's exactly where we are. And I'm thinking to myself, these people are geniuses. It's like recently there was a scandal in Australia where one of the consulting houses was
PwC.
PwC, thank you, was found out to have leaked confidential tax information. Now, they were consulting to the government, as it were, federal government it is, helping with tax legislation, etc. And there were some changes coming, and those changes would benefit certain other clients, non-government clients of PwC.
Of course.
So they leaked it to them, right? But
let's say they showed them how they could utilize those benefits.
But I heard some of these, or I can't remember if I heard or read it, but I saw some of these transcribed conversations. They were having a good old time. It wasn't clandestine. It was like, yeah, let's do that. This is brilliant. It's like schoolboys or friend boys. That's it.
Right.
You know, just slapping each other on the back, going, "Oh man, we're gonna make a killer! Yeah, hurrah!" Ha, ha, ha. And of course, oh no, that's just a few bad apples. You see, Dave, it's just a few bad apples.
It's like the currency trading fiasco.
Yeah,
where just the contractor got let go. We're done now.
That's right. But
the whole bank.
The ethnic
billions of dollars they made in profit through this currency trading scam that they had. And just, look, we found the person who was doing it. You know, it's all good. The WhatsApp group apparently still exists. And the new person, well, they would have been shown how to utilize that because that makes the banks more profit. So, where does it go? Where does it go? It doesn't go anywhere.
It's all
alleged anyway. So, so Mekki, that's it's so interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting that remember about the message here. So, when I started, I said that there's a big difference because what is the truth? And I talked about that RFK, a Senate inquiry, where the right was on the right of the Speaker of the House, and the chair, and on the left was the left representation from government, and the left was absolutely persecuting RFK, who took it in stride. He actually did pretty good, but it was all about the who was the arbiter of truth. Who was that? And the government wasn't.
Sorry, there was one, wasn't there?
Well, what? Sorry, truth. And there's the truth and there's the truth. So the RFK has been given a brand new title of malinformation, which it's not mis or disinformation, it's malinformation.
It's malicious information.
Yeah, and in fact, the definition that he entered into the record was beautiful. He said, well, it's whenever I speak and it differs from the government's perspective.
Wow, that's nice.
And that's when the left just started saying, well, he's a racist and he does all this stuff, right? One of I think the ranking members did that, and he even took that in his stride and did really well to address each one of the points. But then the left said, well, that's enough talking. Your time's up. And the chair said, no, I'm the chair, and I say when it's enough. Keep going, RFK, go on. And then the person from the left, the ranking member, just started talking over his responses. Absolutely repulsive behaviour, completely repulsive. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'll send you a link. It's an awfully hard watch because you're just seeing someone that has zero respect for him, but is based that on purely incorrect information. Nothing personal. Nothing. Nothing accurate. It was just completely awful. So, since you haven't seen it, I know you can't comment on it, but I was going there because I wanted to talk about this topic. Lahaina.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I threw some stuff in your private chat before you joined the station. All right. So have a look at your account there, and we can take these one by one.
Keep going.
But I want to be very careful to, in the rumours section, only ask questions. I don't want to be the propagator of a rumour. I want to question the rumour. All right. So what do we know right now? And I've been looking everywhere for more information because I'm watching a bunch of people on the ground filming, and it's disturbing me now that things have changed. Now, I want to cover the facts. What do we know? So there's video proof now of walls being put up around the affected fire burnt area, around the fire zone. There's walls being constructed so you can't see it anymore. Just so you can't see it. There wouldn't be a single person there that wouldn't be aware of them.
Wouldn't it be, just on that though, Dave, wouldn't it be more sensible to spend the effort in reconstructing and cleaning up rather than building
Number
walls?
one, clean up. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's clean it up. No. Let's just put some walls up so people can't see it anymore. You know, that's pretty good because, you know, it could, I don't know, does it offend people to see the burnt out buildings? Well, it could. Does it make it's a question. It's a question. Does it make the authorities look bad for turning the water off as the fire swept through? Because that's what they did. That's what the people said. They turned the water off. You couldn't fight it if you wanted to.
But
Look,
see, that doesn't make any sense on any level, you know what I mean?
None. Unless the only thing that I could justify it with would be if the firefighters were using the town water rather than, you know, that, you know, in Australia we have hydrants all around you can plug into. We don't have the hydrant physically. We have a pit. You open up the flap, you connect your thing on it, and you got your fire is using the town provided water under pressure. And it's separate water from the water mains. Right? So think about that. If that wasn't set up and the fireys had nothing that they could fight it with. So if you're at a house, part of our safety preparedness thing, if you're at a house and you have a garden hose and you turn the hose on and there's a fire coming, you watch everyone else turn their hoses on, you get no pressure out of that hose. You couldn't even drink out of it. There'd be so little water coming out. If that's the only thing that I could weigh it on. That in fact there was no water pressure for them to fight it with, so they just turn it off. Right. Appalling. The other one was that witnesses say that the police blocked vehicular exits along that front street. I think it's called Front Street. That people couldn't leave.
See, that makes even less sense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we can't have the fire escape in your car. Open the boot. Is there any fire in your boot? What? I mean, what?
Yeah, so I've watched like hour-long videos of people filming their own predicaments at the time, and they're in Front Street and they can't leave. It's a traffic jam. And when they get to the end of Front Street to escape, and they could have very well escaped from that point, the police turned them around and said, no, you can't come this way. It was like they were trapping them in, rather, and they ended up circling back and getting caught in the fire zone. So they could have been evacuated, so who knows? The mayor said, which isn't written here, but I read it just in the last half an hour, the mayor said that they didn't know who was in charge of fighting the fire on the day.
Yeah, man.
That's just wrong. It's so not. You should have a list. It should be an emergency list that you have in a briefcase or something, right?
No. Let's be very clear here. Pretty much anywhere in the world where there's some kind of level of civilization, the powers, especially in emergencies, are very clearly defined.
That's right.
It's very clear who does what.
Yep.
You're not going to call the cops if your cat sits in a tree.
That's right.
You're not going to call an ambulance if your house is on fire and everybody's outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, apart from a common sense thing, there are also charters as to who responds to what.
That's
okay?
right.
It's not like there should be any confusion. I mean, incompetence, sure, and slowness to act, yes. But as to who's responsible, that should be crystal clear.
Oh, totally. And it really annoyed me. And there's Hawaii News Now has some very interesting topics there in the list below the article I just shared with you, Mackie. The other one was that the FBI whittled down the list for some reason from 850 down to 385 that are still accounted for.
So they're still missing these people.
Yeah, still gone. Don't know anywhere anyone is. Yep. They clearly didn't escape because that was impossible.
Yeah.
I even saw a video of a guy that had his clothes burnt off in the fire, but he just, I think with maybe the amount of alcohol in his blood, just saved him. He was in the canal that led towards the water, right at the waterfront, and his thongs melted in the heat, and he was just lucky enough to roll around in what little water there was in the canal to keep himself wet enough not to burn with the heat. It was just nuts. Anyway, so and now we get to the rumors, and look, and remember, the gap of communication allows for these rumors to come to the top. If there was truly really good information coming from Lahaina, then there wouldn't be any of this noise. But there's people on the ground filming and talking about this, and this is where these come from, and other sources, all right? And I think you recognize them as we go through them. So my first one is the big question, because I've seen so many videos from the air now, and the question is there evidence of directed energy weapons? Good question. People are saying that there is, and the thing that I can see only is that blue houses or blue sheds or blue cars were unaffected by the fire.
Everybody knows that blue is cold.
You know what?
Right? So it can't burn.
I would love to do some science around blue objects versus other colors to see which was the most flammable. If they're all made of the same material, which one would be most effectively burnt through radiant heat? That would be a really interesting thing to do. And I might try and see that. But I've seen examples of lasers onto different colors, and the blue is unaffected because it neutralizes the red color.
Oh no, because look, if your specific spectrum doesn't contain
that's right.
that particular color, it's nothing happens. So black absorbs all,
mm-hmm.
white reflects all, and then you've got others that absorb. So if you've got a laser, for example, that is contains all spectrum but blue, then the blue stuff should be unaffected.
That's right. And that's why you wear particular glasses when handling lasers.
So goggles do nothing.
The goggles, they do nothing. So did authorities pile bodies in an open grave? Apparently, I heard something. It's a good question. Apparently, I heard someone mention this, and I don't know how true it is. And I'd love to know whether this was the case. If anyone had any footage or anything, that'd be great. But it was FEMA and the military dug an open grave, and I don't know whether it's true. This is only the rumor. And I'm not trying to perpetuate the rumor, but rather ask questions around it and see if there is any proof there. And they were putting bodies into it. And that could also account for the drop of like nearly 495 people in the count of those left to find. Because I don't
Did you know that Lahaina was the capital of the old Hawaiian kingdom?
Was it?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
anyway, just
no, that's okay. Now, I heard some people talking about it, so it's anecdotal. This one's only anecdotal. This is through the people who remain, and one of them in the town hall mentioned this meeting in front of a camera, and I still don't have proof that it's real. And that was, did insurance companies prevent some renewals days prior to the fire? Which is a very good question.
That sounds like the reverse of 9/11, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you don't want everyone to get their money, do you? Right? If you could had a crystal ball and you knew there was something coming, would you renew if you knew? But I'm just saying, I don't know. It's a rumor. I'm not saying it's true. And our hearts go out to all those people whose nose were affected by it in any way, whether it's only financial or it's business or it is families, or loss of life, or animals. You can't even start to imagine how bad it is for all of those. So, the other question is, there's a guy who's put a channel up about the missing children. So, where are they?
Missing.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's true.
I'm sorry.
They wouldn't be missing if they were found. Let's say that. So that's also something just truly horrific to think about.
Yeah.
It couldn't be the worst thing on the planet. The last 2 points here are, did the mayor, and I'm still trying to find proof of this, did the mayor create a decree to outlaw filming of the fire-affected areas? Now, I watched a video clip where the police gave a guy a citation for stopping on the side of the road and filming. And they were saying the mayor made a decree, and you've got to go and you'll have to find that yourself because we don't have a copy of it. But said you can't stop the car here and film here. He was like probably 30 yards away from the freeway, so there was just open land. There was nothing there. It was all burnt, but it had a really good view of the town. And they said, no, you can't. You can move on.
I'm just looking at the blue car that didn't burn in the picture. There's a picture here on Wired.
Yeah.
There's also a white car in front of it that didn't burn, but the blue car is completely untouched.
Yeah.
Which is
so there's plenty of reasons why there could be an untouched car there, but a building can't just suddenly move into frame. Right?
Well,
so
no.
If someone managed to get their car in there after the fire had swept through to go park it and go and look, that's one reason a car could be there, but a building can't.
Yeah,
and that's why I raised it,
so.
right? And because we only got 2 minutes left, the last question is, which is really important, had developers kept a keen eye on the town and begged to develop it, now only to offer pittance for this area now that it's kind of worthless? It's a developer's delight, but are they truly having to fend off developers? But surely the people who own these blocks of land still own them?
Well, of course they do.
Well, of course, and that's the other thing is, really?
Well, okay, all right. Then the question is, if they don't, then who does?
Well, I know, that's a tremendous question. And apparently some news stories that Hawaii News Now is putting up there is they're trying to ban developers from making contact with individuals.
Oh.
So I don't want to be the person who says later, like I told you so. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to make heads or tails. All I've got are unanswered questions. There's anecdotal evidence for some of it, but not all of it. Is there any video footage, or is there anything, because is that getting pulled down? Is there anything that you can see or know of, or someone that could make contact with us so we could interview you, right? Don't know. I just don't know, Mickey, and it hurts because we lost so many people in our fires and their town is still devastated. Never got rebuilt. Bridges never got rebuilt. The government gave money out. Never went anywhere. Well, they said they were going to give money out. They pledged it. And there's the music already. Coming up after the break, we are talking about lost scientists and science. The lost science as well. This is part 3. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're ceasing this one. We're going to make a brand new video for the next hour, okay? But in the meantime, take a break and we'll be back shortly.